We are here once again to begin the discussion of the pods we have assembled over the course of the last month in our time here on this here planet. So we will begin with the movie section, which I have only a couple things last or for this time, because I have seen the normal amount of movies.
Of course.
Since last time, or normal according to my definition, I guess, which is just at least one movie per day that existed within that month. But I don't know. I feel like I have less to talk about. It's like some of them, like I rewatched Alien, and I was like, I liked it more than I did the first time. You know, and it was like it was effective and cool and stuff. But it's like I don't have much else to say about that, or like various other. Like just looking through my letterboxd activity, it's like, yeah, it's good, or it's, yeah, that wasn't so good, you know, type stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. But anyways, the one that I do want to say words or more words about is Mars Express, which this one was, I figured out about it from Sardonicast, the podcast. They hyped this one up pretty heavily, especially Alex on there. And yeah, this one is just a really cool French animated sci-fi film that's it's pretty short. It's only 90 minutes long, just about. And it is just like one of the most effective movies out there when it comes to like, I mean, it's just so stacked with sci-fi concepts, like one after another, and they're like perfectly woven into the story that takes place over the runtime of the film, and the actual characters and like plot that it explores is a good one. It's just that like the standout aspect of it is just the world and the actual world building of it. Like everything is just like nothing is really explained to you, and everything is just like so nonchalantly natural within it, and so unique as well. It's like you could tell that it takes inspirations from a number of sci-fi films and probably books as well. But it also just does like its complete like just set of unique things. It pretty much exclusively on its own, or at least from what I've seen. And so yeah, it's just like a really easy recommend because it's so short. I mean, it's in French. Oh no, it's people don't like that for subtitles. But if you are a cool person who is okay with subtitles existing and you having to read them to understand a film, there's probably an English dub, but like whatever. But anyways, this is a really really good one that came out recently.
Yeah, it's something that I've been meaning to check out, and now that you give it your glowing recommendation, I definitely will have to. I love that idea of just a sci-fi world that is presented to you without over explanation or like just a ton of exposition. Because it does make it feel
you with that shit, man.
It makes you feel more engaged with it and more immersed, just because it's like there's a ton of stuff that I will never know about real life, and then having a sci-fi exploration of that scratches the same itch, but in a different way. On my end, I also did not, I didn't match you movie for movie. I didn't do a whole lot this month, honestly.
So he's been living a normal life.
A little less
his pod collection is waning.
Exactly.
His YouTube channel is dying.
But hey, I still have some good ones to talk about. First movie I want to talk about is An Autumn Afternoon, which is by the famed Japanese director Yasujiro Ozu, who is more well known for A Tokyo Story. And his movies this is only my second one that I've watched of his, but they feel very similar. They draw from a lot of the same themes and the same explorations of loneliness, post-war Japan, parents and their children, as well as just trying to move on with life after the war. It's really the filmmaking is so austere but genuine. He's pretty well known for having very little, if at all, movement in his camera. It's all just like very static, with just wonderful blocking that allows for multiple scenes to be represented in a room at a time, and you can always see the dialogue and the characters' faces as he wants it to. And this one is, I don't know if I would put it quite up there with the Tokyo Story, but I still like this one a ton. There's so much earnest exploration of those themes, and it's not too dramatic. It's very kind of weird and funny, this one especially. I really have, I wasn't sure how I felt about his films after watching A Tokyo Story. I did like that movie, but it was a strange experience. And then after watching more of his stuff, I think I have a better understanding of what he likes to depict in his films, and it seems very, personal, and really just a wonderfully real exploration of life and the intricacies that we don't really see depicted on movie screens, especially not quite like he does it. So, easy recommendation. Definitely an enjoyable watch.
Yeah.
If a bit quiet, so I mean, definitely don't go into it expecting like a high intensity drama.
Because I remember I had watched Tokyo Story also. That was also a Sardonicast thing. And yeah, like I feel like for stuff like this, you really have to be in the sort of right mood, or the for them, the sort of like slow slice of life type of things. But yeah, he also has he has a number of films that have like seasons in the names of them. I don't know if is that like
this is one of them
thing for some reason. He's got like early summer, late spring, late autumn,
I'm not too sure.
Afternoon. I don't know.
I know An Autumn Afternoon was his last one.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not sure if how that lined up with the rest of his films, but it's definitely a good one.
Yeah, cool. I'll check it out at some point. And the viewer should too. Next up, I have this one that is also a foreign one. It's called Itubama Tambian, or I don't know how that's actually pronounced, but yeah, this is a Spanish film. Specifically, it takes place in Mexico, and it's just it's interesting because I feel like it could very easily just be watered down to a bunch of sex talk and like overly horniness of the characters and the things that take place, which it is true. The film does have the characters speak a lot about sex and stuff like that, and it does depict particular acts with the realistic detail or whatever. And but like that's only like really a fraction of, I feel like, what the movie's about. It's a lot of like self-reflection and like just, I mean, sort of just life in general, honestly. If I have to get pretentious here, it's about life itself, guys. It's like it really is more than just like that, what it seems like on the surface of like, oh, it's a cool epic threesome movie, super hot and awesome and nice, and like, yeah, sure, it has particular aspects of that, but it's a lot smarter than you'd think. It has this really, really great and interesting way of narration, which I haven't really seen done, like replicated in other ways, where it'll narrate like a particular character or a particular like a particular side character, a particular just like location, and it'll just say like what it is or who they are, and then like what they sort of go on to do, or like what that like location is sort of known for, or just like some random event that like occurred in their life, not even necessarily like a majorly impactful one, just sort of like something that's seemingly random. And I didn't like do much to like think about if too many of them were significant to one another in a particular way. But like even besides that, it's like just the narration alone is such like a unique, interesting part of it. And then on top of that, like the dialogue and the acting is like really, really good. Obviously, in spite of the fact that it's mostly the sex stuff, but like even then, it's like well handled, I think, overall, for this type of thing, because it would be very, very easy for it to be just like complete dog shit with like the things that it is about, sort of, and also depicting. It would be very easy for a film that is doing the same things to just be like complete doggy doo doo about it. But it handles the topics very maturely and thoughtfully and carefully. And yeah, it's directed by, what's his name, Alfonso Cuarón, and he's just a really great director. Children of Men, Roma, and I guess what people consider to be the best Harry Potter.
Oh, absolutely.
The film adaptation. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He also did an adaptation of Great Expectations. That was a weird one. I mean, just the sort of the story of Great Expectations, kind of weird. I'm not super into it. I've seen 2 different adaptations of it for some reason. It's pretty out there.
Yeah, I'm such a fan of his stuff. Like you said, Children of Men and Roma are, some of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
So I've always seen Y Tu Mamá También in his filmography, and I've been meaning to check it out. Just haven't gotten around to it. How would you compare it to like a movie like Challengers? It's got that threesome aspect.
Which
but
threesome movie is the best?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like that one, it's like I mean, if we're talking about the threesome stuff specifically, it's like Challengers is like one minor scene in like the entire
film. I'm not even discussing the actual like explicit elements, but about like how do they like why would a director choose to depict a threesome? It is because it's super rich with a ton of
there's just a lot of drama that could come
drama
from it.
and like, conflict.
Yeah, and in that it's more of like they're all in Challengers, it's like they're all the same age, 2 of them. They all play tennis, and they're like competing like whatever nationally and stuff. And it's sort of like that. Everyone's on the same level. Everyone's on the same playing field. Meanwhile, in this one, it's like 2 boys and then a woman, and it's like this sort of the dynamic that is there is completely different because the 2 kids are just so immature, and she to a certain extent is as well. But it's eventually sort of like explained why that is. And it's yeah. I mean, it just is like the dynamics between. I guess that mostly the age. And then also just like, I don't know, the culture of whatever, because Mexico and this one, and then America and Challengers, or at least it takes place in America, right? I mean, they're American characters, but they, I don't know, travel a lot, I guess.
Yeah, it takes place over, I guess, a lifetime in flashbacks, so it's all over the place.
Yeah, the threesome stuff in this is way more epic, to answer Peter's true meaning behind that question.
That's good. Otherwise, I wouldn't watch it.
So. They're both really good though. They're like on the same level. I gave both of them 9s.
Okay.
Like, I don't even know which one I prefer. I mean, I think I already put it on my top 100 and sorted it in a certain way. But I mean, I could look right now what I technically have them sitting at if you give me a sec. Blah blah blah. Let's see.
They're good enough to be rated as such.
Yeah. So Challengers is, funny enough, it's 69. Position 69 in my top 100.
Okay.
Oh, Y Tu Mamá También is 71, so I guess I like Challengers slightly more. Or just the day I put it up, I like it slightly more. But I might swap them around. Who knows? Maybe
Y Tu Mamá
También should be 69 instead.
They have to share that one. Right. On my end, after I watched one good movie, I thought I would, harken back to the days, and I ended up watching a Minecraft movie, which was, it was, I didn't watch it in theaters. I watched it, when it eventually came out, and I knew that I was missing out on a crucial experience, which is that movie-going experience.
The live chickens.
The popcorn. Yeah, exactly. And so I was more curious than anything when I decided to check it out.
Yeah.
Because I had, my expectations were fairly low. I think many people and critics and reviewers kind of decided to shit on this movie. Whereas it also had a very popular resurgence of the movie theaters for a while, although in a somewhat destructive way. But having watched it myself now in in my living room,
Private setting.
it's a private setting. It's not a good movie. It's not great. It's really fucking weird. Actually, like, so strange. One of the most surreal experiences I've had watching a movie, because it's corporate to the nines, right? It's like super dripped out in like a bunch of, it's all marketing. It's Minecraft, right?
Right.
But there's also just like a weird amount of like irony and like self-referential stuff that I couldn't tell if it was like ironic and it's like being dumb to like being dumb and weird in order to make a point, but like at other times it's like completely just lost the plot. Awful. It's like it's one of the harder movies to review, I think, just because of how it, took over the culture for a little bit and what it represents for that culture. The acting is all not that great. It's, very over the top for the, Jason Momoa and Jack Black. They're doing like the same character, over the top, weird kind of foils of each other. And then the rest of the crew is just like, oh, normal people in Wonderland. It's like, oh, now we're in a crazy world. There's Minecraft.
Whoa,
and there's blocks. And yeah, obviously it's kind of, I don't know if it's well known, but the actual like ways they represented the game of Minecraft in the movie are like ass. Like there's no one-to-one representation of like anything in the game.
They have crafting tables and you could smith stuff.
Yeah, but you can also just like craft whatever you want from the very beginning. Like it doesn't matter. There's like, and there's flying and stuff. It's very strange.
You could get wing items or something.
Yeah, yeah. There's that, but in other various moments that are
they just make shit up for this movie.
They make a lot of shit for this movie, and I don't really know why. It's just like a movie that I left just asking why. Like, who decided to make this? Who's it for? Obviously, it found its audience, but
oh yeah,
how natural and organic was that? Like, it seemed very unintuitive the way that
the name Minecraft is enough.
Yeah,
in the title for it to
it's very strange how it kind of became such a hit, but it did. And is it deserving of it? No, I don't think so. It's funnier than I expected. It's by the same guy as Napoleon Dynamite, so there's similar humor to it, in a kind of weird, awkward, very dry humor, and those are the best parts. But there's also like some absolutely baffling choices. It is like one of the villains is like making like a threat. He's like, "Oh, sorry, buddy, I have to unalive you." I'm like, did they just say unalive?
Oh yeah.
It's 2025. Like,
that's what happened.
That was the most baffling thing to me.
In Peter.
Like,
or something.
Who says unalive?
The children.
It's just YouTube speak.
No, I know.
And so
they think that's okay to put in a film because it's.
I guess
relatable. I'm sure the kids loved it. I'm sure the 10-year-olds were like, "Oh my god, that's what I say." I can't believe that a film.
Yeah, I guess so.
Said something that I said. That's insane. Yeah. That's crazy.
I guess overall, the movie is just it's very predictable, very one note. Mm-hmm. All the moments are hit, and you know exactly what's going to happen. It's not doing anything new. It's not doing anything particularly well. It's just very, bombastic and strange, which is why it made such a splash, I think. it's yeah, it tries to have, it be funny and genuine at the right moments,
Sure.
and
It just
what
has a
is
poor balance
known
of
as like the
that.
MCU, yeah.
Yeah, like
Like
that's
an
like a
MCU kind
pretty
of
damn hard
format,
thing to do. Like have that sort of solid mix of
especially for
moods,
a
and but like
Minecraft movie.
so many films try to do that, and so many of them fail at
Yeah.
it.
Well, like, why are we doing this? Why
You think it
why are
should
we
have just been
forcing this
goofy all the
cookie
time? But how
cutter?
are you? You're
It,
not. You don't want to give the
I don't even
audience
know
emotional
if like a
takeaways.
Minecraft movie should be goofy. I have no idea what you do with a Minecraft movie.
Yeah,
I don't
you
think
would
it's
make it.
this.
You would make it a
But like,
mood piece.
why are you
You would make
trying
it
to make a
the
movie out of Minecraft?
Fast and
It
Furious
just
thing.
seems like a franchise that it doesn't lend itself particularly well
No,
to a movie.
because when you
But
think video games that should be adapted to film, you think ones with the stories,
and
ones
cinematic
with plots,
qualities, there's a
probably.
million of them, and those also
But
struggle
Minecraft
from
is going
being
to be the one that
adapted.
sells the best because it's like one of the most
Yeah, I guess
sold
so.
ones across like all time. So I
I
mean,
guess so. But yeah, I guess, yeah,
can't wait for
just
the
glad
Fortnite
that
movie.
everyone who worked on it got their bag.
Oh yeah,
Sucks
almost
probably
def.
that um,
There's going
you
to be a
know
sequel. There's going to be 5 of them
there's gonna
actually.
be a lot of people
There's going
trying
to
to
be a
copy
Fortnite
what
collab
this happened.
because they'll do a
Yeah,
Fortnite film or two, and then it'll
it
be
probably already
Fortnite,
is. It definitely
Minecraft,
already is. Like,
Jamboree.
yeah. Oh, when the Fortnite movie comes out, that's
Yeah,
gonna get
it's
some
going to be
major
a
bucks.
thing that'll happen. That's going to be
Hmm. That's
soon
wild.
enough. Um, yeah, if somehow this film got on my watch list, and like usually when things get on my watch list, I usually don't ever remove them.
Hmm.
So it's kind of just like, well, I guess
It's
someday
just
I'll see
sitting
that.
there
Yeah, it'll sit there for now. I mean, well, I guess we'll
eventually.
see how long it'll stay there. Maybe I'll die and it'll still be there. I mean, we'll see.
Hmm.
'Cause, I mean, my watch list hasn't really gone down. It's remained at like 1,060 something for like the past
It's a
three
pretty
years.
consistent number, maybe even growing at sometimes. Yeah, there's
Like
always
almost
movies
every
coming
film I
out.
see, I add another on average. I feel
Hmm.
like it's never ending. The pod searching, collecting is never ending. Um, but yeah, I can't wait to see this one. Obviously,
Cannot wait.
and it's not the Minecraft movie. It's just a Minecraft movie.
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna
Yep.
make more of them. It's part of the plan. The sequel will be
Yeah.
called another Minecraft movie because it's just another one.
I'll
Like
be
whatever.
very interested to see how they decide to follow it up.
Yeah.
So I guess I don't know if I'm a fan or like
I mean,
a
you rated
eager
it poorly, so
bystander.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
it more like an American isekai where they're like trying to escape, or is it like one of those
Um,
Japanese isekais where they're like, "This is my life now, and it's so much better, and I fucking hate Earth, and I'm never thinking about it again."
I'd say it's definitely more in line with an American isekai, because even though they do want to escape, they still
They like the
obviously
lollygag or
learn some lessons, and they're like,
sure,
oh, maybe I should stay here because it's actually
because
like
it's epic.
this place represents my inner being, the way that the world doesn't understand me. It's like, oh
Like, because the
no,
villagers go,
um,
huh, and
yeah,
like
because the
you don't,
village go,
they don't say mean things to you or something. I don't know.
yeah, oh the villagers are some of the most unsettling looking
Did they say words, or did they just,
CGI creatures. They just like as they should, but the CGI model of them
oh yeah,
is like has the weird faux skin. Like it's all
yeah.
like obviously you
All
can
of
see
them
it through the
look
trailers. It's
uncanny
like
with like the
weirdly
fuzz of them,
uncanny. Yeah, it's like trying to be realistically textured, but
like
in
Detective
like
Pikachu,
block
but
form.
like
It's
on a
just
whole
like
new level type of
yeah,
thing.
on a whole new level, and it's particularly bad for the villagers. They look like nightmarish. Actually, it's terrifying. But
Yeah.
yeah, would not recommend.
Hmm.
And
Oh, you wouldn't recommend it? Okay, I guess I'll watch it then. Next up, I got one I saw today, which is called Animal House, from 1978. It's National Lampoon's Animal House, which is a magazine company. I don't know if they still exist, but for some reason they had the power in the Hollywood, I think, for a slight amount of time. So there's like Vacation was another one that's sort of, I don't know how it's made by them technically,
Hmm.
or like how it relates to the magazine that they output. But this one, Animal House, is about a fraternity that's shitty, and they're about to be kicked off, and they sort of just fuck around for 90 minutes or however long this was. 109 minutes. Okay. And yeah, it is something that I don't know if your parents ever were ever into this or stuff like it. It's on that
Not that
level
I
of
know
like
of, but
Breakfast Club,
okay.
16 Candles, like stuff that like our parents' generations like that was the most banging shit back in the day. Which only half the time is that does that hold up in the modern day. Like Breakfast Club, for example, I think overall holds up. I think it's a nice time. Meanwhile, 16 Candles is like kind of the opposite, where it's like very dated in terms of its jokes. And it just has to do with the difference in which generation is desensitized to which things. And so, like, a joke or something that I guess is marketed as a joke in the film, I don't really see it that way because, again, it's just a generational thing. But if we were to assume that it was a joke, which it was, or, because that's how people would read into it 40 years ago or whatever, but like a joke about sexual assault is like handled and thought about differently than like people our age than people slightly older than us, I guess. So that was a thing that dragged down 16 Candles, for example. And I guess one of those also exists here to a slightly lesser extent. It still exists though. But overall, it's just, I would consider Animal House to be okay. It did have at least a funny moment or two in there. I'd say especially by the end there, where it's kind of just a bunch of random chaos, and it like I don't know how realistic this film was. I assume it's based on like some of their lives or whatever in the writers in like college and stuff, and just like exaggerating random pieces of them. But it does this sort of funny thing where like at the end it'll like show what happened to the character in the future, and it'll be like all the antagonists or whatever, like it just lists off like some really extreme bad thing that happens to them in the future, and then for like the protagonist it's like the complete opposite, like some is super extremely exaggerated really good thing that happened to them. And I don't know, it's funny, I guess. But like this one overall is okay. I think it holds up to a certain extent. Though like, yeah, it's dated in some ways also. So overall it's like sort of evenly leveled in the good and badness, I feel like. But yeah, it was a thing to check out, I guess.
It's not something that you can relate to on the same level as your parents.
Not necessarily. I did not exist in the 1960s. I did not go to school at that time. I also had no fraternity to call my own. So I mean, that's maybe it plays, But I mean, a movie should be good regardless of your upbringing or your background. In theory, I mean, like obviously things are going to be tailored towards different people, which they should be. But like the good stuff should transcend sort of all of that, really, I think. Like Mars Express, do I live in the future? Well, I sort of do for the people listening. But do I live in that exact version of the future, live in those exact cop, police, investigation lives? No, not at all. But it's still a cool time, And this one is kind of just like, it's just a bunch of random stuff happening, really, is what it feels like, Animal House. But also that's sort of the point. I mean, it's called Animal House, a house of animals. What are animals going to do? They're going to be wild and do stuff that is maybe in accordance to their own rules and laws, but to humans, it's going to be sort of random. Like, we can't read their minds. And it's true for the characters in this movie. So that's my analysis, is that the title is it's actually this cool meta self-reflection of what the film actually is, guys. It's actually really smart.
That's crazy.
It's a good title, I guess. All things considered.
I don't think I would put it with a frat kind of slice of life comedy movie, but
like it is what was the Linklater one?
Yeah, Dazed and Confused.
There was.
How would you compare?
That was more high school though, wasn't it?
Oh, Everybody Wants Some.
Everybody Wants Some. Thank you. That's the one.
Yeah.
That one was good. Because that one, it felt way more genuine, and it's. I don't remember it being too funny. I mean, it emphasized that a little bit less than this one.
It's not trying to.
But that one, like, it has better drama, and it's more interesting, and it's more grounded, and so it's like it's able to resonate with somebody more than just Animal House, where it's just a bunch of like I don't know, a bunch of, like I said before, a bunch of random things happening. So, like, to compare it directly to that, which I think is a fair comparison, because they're about similar things. The college frat life and stuff. Yeah, that one's a lot better than this. So yeah.
All right, maybe check it out.
Maybe.
I'm a pretty big fan of Everybody Wants Some.
Yeah.
And if it's not even, up for comparison, then maybe I'll.
A comparison can be made. So in my mind,
I guess
there's
that's true.
the fairly wide difference between the two. But I mean, yeah, why not? Who knows? Who knows? Maybe you'll love it, Peter. It could be either way. You don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows.
Too true.
Until you check it out. So, or don't. Who knows? All right. But that's the movies section. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. On the TV, which I have nothing.
Neither do I.
All right, cool. We skipped that shit. If you watched any movie or TV shows in the past month, you wasted your time. You shouldn't have done that. But now you got the future month to not do that because Peter and I got nothing. All right. So yeah, video games. I have 3 of these items here.
I got 2.
Okay. Let me get a sip of water. All right. So I last time mentioned that I was watching those Persona 3 movies to prepare myself to go back into that gaming experience, not to replay it, but to, for the first time, play a particular aspect of Persona 3 Reload, which is called Persona 3 Reload Episode Igus. And this was DLC added to the game. The game came out last year in the winter, in like January or February or something. And then this DLC for it was released in the fall or something, I think. And it is an adaptation of the answer, was what the English version of it was called in Persona 3 FES. I'm not going to re-explain what Persona 3 FES and Reload is. I'm just going to assume people know it by this point. So we've said it a handful of times. And yeah, you've played FES version, and you played the answer also. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this shit is just such a drag, man. This shit is such a drag, man.
Like, as much as the story is cool, I'm with you there.
It is cool at points. I think, yeah, definitely. They do some
there's also one particularly
by the end they do
controversial thing.
Yeah, they do a thing at the end which is it's kind of crazy in my opinion, and I think it is almost perfect, sort of.
I think it adds so much to it.
Yeah,
I think it's one of the reasons why I remember Persona 3 straight up.
Really?
Is because it ends like that. But yeah.
Yeah, but it takes so long to get there.
Yeah.
So, the base game of Persona 3 Reload, it took me, I had 97 hours on the final save data thing. So about that time. And this one took me 26 hours. So it's about a quarter of the length of the base game. So it's already this, 100-hour long JRPG thing you're playing. And then on top of that, it's another 25 to go alongside with it. And the base game of Persona 3, if you don't know, it's a mix of slice of life stuff and dungeon crawling, turn-based RPG stuff. Where it's, I don't know the exact numbers on this, but I would say it's about 50-50 across 3, 4, and 5 for the Persona games. Maybe some of them have split the difference between the slice of life and action stuff a little bit more one way than the other. But I would say it's about maybe 50% of that. So 50% of Persona 3, approximately, maybe. You're doing this thing called Tartarus, which is this, it's basically just one really big tower of a dungeon thing. And it is 226 floors in total, where pretty much each floor is randomly generated. That you go through, and you just kind of go up and up and up it, and every once in a while there's some random thing that might happen, or on certain floors there's these bosses that you're required to fight, and they have a similar thing in Episode Igus, also known as The Answer. called the Abyss of Time, and the Abyss of Time, it's basically the like in terms of design, it's like the exact same as the floors of Tartarus, but instead of there being 226, there's 148. So about like 60% of the floors that existed in Tartarus exist in like the number of that is the number of floors in the equivalent in this DLC expansion thing. And to me, like, that makes sense with the amount of runtime of like it's about 50% of the length of or 50% of the floors in the main game, and then you're spending half of the base game in that Tartarus tower. So like 50% of 50% is a quarter. So that like quarter of the game's length checks out. Like, it makes sense to me. But it isn't really justified in any meaningful way, because in the base game, even though it's much longer, it's also spaced out by quite a lot of exposition and free time and just like various other things that you might be doing. So because it's so broken up, the Tartarus things, you're not doing that shit all at once. Like, you're required by the story to reach certain points in it. So that like, even if I was going at it for like, I want to hit all of these new floors in just one day, like I could, and it would take maybe 5 hours of real time. But then that's followed up by like 5 hours of just random other stuff. And in episode Aegis, that basically doesn't exist. The entire game is basically just, or the entire DLC is basically just doing the dungeon stuff. And it is just the most repetitive, sort of monotonous shit
It's
out
a grind.
there.
It's a massive grind.
Yeah, man. I don't know what should have been done. Like, it could have just been less, because like in theory it's like, oh shit, this DLC is like it's 25% of the story, or 25% of the game's length. That must do so much with it being such a long video game. It's an extra 25 hours on top of it, which it is. But like the exact like quality of it just, I feel like overall isn't there. Again, the ending is really cool. But like, to like, I don't know. I if I were to have, because you played this back to back, right? Like, you played through.
Yep.
I mean, you
Went
just
from
FPS in
journey
one
to
experience.
answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a year separating that shit, and even for me, it was like, here I go again. Like, it wasn't that horrible, but I could imagine if I had ended up doing this back to back, like the base game followed up by episode, I guess I would just be so sick of it.
Yeah.
I would just be so
essentially
sick
it's
of it.
just one big. It's one chapter, right? And so it's one big dungeon without any of the like you said, the ways to break it up. So you're doing, for what is the equivalent of waiting until the end to do your persona or your final dungeons or whatever, and like doing 30 floors at a time or whatever.
Yeah.
But in this one is the only way to do it. Like, you're just doing the same thing over and over with maybe some dialogue with your companions every once in a while.
Like, Reload, I think it was aware of this, and I think Reload adds some moments that weren't originally there, maybe. It does add these extra, like, optional character interaction moments, which, like, it basically just gives them back the skills that they had in exclusively Reload. So it makes sense that they sort of show up in here. And, like, they're nice. It's just that they're very short, and there's only one. There's either one or two per character. I think there's only one, though. Like, optional event thing with them. And yeah, like, it's, on the one hand, it is fun just to like go back into Persona land for a little bit, because it's basically just like Persona Light. It's like I don't have to care as much about the fusions, about like the future of like how this is gonna impact me down the road during these fights, because like there's no story bosses except for at the very end. There's just small bosses here and there throughout the floors of it. But like I didn't have to care necessarily as much about like the which personas I had at which times, which is a thing I enjoy doing. But I also was alleviated from like having to like need to, or the want or the thought that I had to spend a lot of time with that, which was nice. And like even when I was playing the base game of Reload, I was never really like, because I knew going into it what some of the main complaints were, like with Tartarus specifically, and people didn't like it. It was too long, repetitive, like, which it sort of is in the base game even. But like I didn't really even feel that at all. Like it just sort of like, I think with the visual updates and the other random things they did in Reload to improve the sort of the monotony, just sort of random things happening on some of the floors just to mix things up, kept things sort of engaging enough, just to the point where by that like 5 hour mark or whatever, I would be like, okay, I'm good. I don't need to do that for another, in real life day or two. If I'm playing the games that much per day, which I think I was back then. So like I wasn't bothered by that at all, really, in the base game. But yeah, in this, because it's just, I mean, it's the whole thing basically. I mean, we said it.
It's just not balanced, right?
Yeah, like I don't know what would you could have just had less floors, right? I mean, that would have been the fix.
Yep.
If it was like half that experience, and just like you increase the amount of like character experience you gain, because the progression goes a lot faster in this, because you start at level 20 or 25 or something, and then you end up sort of roughly at the same level you would end the base game at, which is around like maybe 80 or 90, depending on like if you fought the Reaper or not a couple of times, which I think I did in Reload for an achievement, and also just to get everybody to 99 for some reason. Maybe also an achievement, I don't know. I did not do that, nor necessarily do all the optional stuff in episode I guess I just got the achievements for them, which the achievements, it's maybe the easiest achievements out there to get, because they're just, you get all of them through the story, but they don't also contribute to platinum, I don't think. So I mean, like, whatever, who cares, because it's DLC. I guess they don't want to gatekeep platinum behind that. I don't know. But yeah, like the main takeaway is that it is a monotonous grind for the 30 hours or 20 something hours. And then every once in a while, there's a cool thing that maybe happens in the story, and by the end, it is like a cool thing that happens, I think, and you also think. So yeah, it's a weird thing. Like I don't think I will ever replay this ever. I might rewatch the cutscenes or something like that if I want to revisit it ever. But like even then, like the story isn't like that great. It's just like the ending. But like the ending is only so good with the context of the base game story. It's like on its own, it really doesn't amount to much. So I would only like check out the cutscenes for it if I was like, because I might replay the base game at some point. I don't really know though. Like maybe because it's just a long ass thing.
First.
It's just a long ass thing. 1 and 2. What are you talking about? Oh, that's right. I forgot. Those exist. You did explain that in the metaphor discussion, which may not be out by the time this video gets uploaded. So yeah, I mean, I would like to play those. At some
you can
point.
track them down.
Are they only fan made translations for the English? They haven't been officially
that's a good question.
localized, have they?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
but they're good enough, I think.
Yeah,
there's definitely like certain moments where it shows that it's a fan translation. But like that kind of,
and really just any video game from that period, even if it was like
anywhere from
translated
anything from
officially,
Japan,
there's still probably going to be like some silly stuff.
They had to.
Yeah, we've come a long way in localization to the point where now we got even the honorifics carry through sometimes. Like they still say senpai because they're just like weebs know what that means. We'll keep it in.
So true.
So yeah, that's Persona 3 Reload episode Igus, also known as The Answer.
On my end, I was also continuing something that I was already playing, which was Skyrim.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that's right.
I know I said I had just started it, and I was able to, pretty much 100% it. It took basically... this is what has been taking up all my time past month. I think I put in like another 200 hours, and that's,
the past month?
Yeah.
No. Past month, that's hyperbole, surely.
Let me look at my Steam real quick. It's at 264 total playtime right now. And yeah, I had not played on this computer.
And almost all of that
So
was just from those past months. God damn.
yeah.
God
So
damn.
it's one of those games for me. It's
No, yeah.
just something that I can hop in and play forever. It's such a comfort game. It's not perfect by any means. Like I think there is, a weird lack of depth to some of the progression systems. Um, the story is honestly the main story is one of the more forgettable parts of the game.
Oh, really?
It's okay, but that's like not really what you're playing for. Like,
Mm-hmm.
when people boot up Skyrim, it's so that they could just fucking go to a random place and like take up a random quest or go through the guild quest lines. I think guild quest lines are a lot of fun. I was also able to finally play the DLC, which was nice because it was all packaged in on the version that I got.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't ever played them before. I think it's a solid batch of DLC. I don't think I would ever put them amongst like my favorite DLC from Bethesda. I think I still like Fallout 4's Far Harbor, maybe the best. But Dawnguard was cool. You got your vampires, and Serana was a really nice companion. Liked her a lot. Hearthfire was cool. I think I liked it probably more than most people just because I like having it's basically just your house building and like you have a little more freedom
Mm-hmm.
with how you can set up your loot and your collections and all that, which is really what I like playing for. It's just getting everything and trying to visit or procure everything in one playthrough. Um, and then there's Dragonborn, which was honestly kind of a letdown for me. I still liked it, but I've heard people like really celebrating it as like one of the better DLCs Bethesda has released, and it's cool. I like the new location Solstheim, and the lore that all comes with it. I like Hermaeus Mora as the Daedric prince that you have to deal with. Um, but I feel like for your main antagonist to be Mirak, the first Dragonborn, there's a lot that is, there's a lot of development left behind because you don't really get to interact with him that much. It's more about what he does to the world that you are more engaged with and can actually interact with. So I would have liked there to be more from that. But overall, it's a pretty solid set of DLC for it, and it just makes Skyrim even more playable. Like I don't even know, man. I've put probably close to like over 1,000 hours at this
Mm-hmm.
point into the game over my lifetime,
Yeah.
and it's not like this was probably the most complete a playthrough has ever been for me. I think I got basically all the achievements at once, besides the ones that you kind of have to replay for, and it's it just grabs you. It's like I don't even probably remember half the shit I was doing,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just the grind of pick up this quest and then go here and do that quest, or you could find another random quest in the back of the
Yeah, you
cave
get
somewhere that
sidetracked
you
on
are
your
already doing a
sidetrack.
quest for. Exactly, and it's a very tantalizing formula that they created, and it's very successful on me. Love those games,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll soon talk about its predecessor, but that's about all I have
Oh,
to
do you
say
plan
on
on playing the
Skyrim.
remaster of Oblivion?
I've already started.
Oh, what do you mean? Okay, I guess I spoiled it or I helped spoil it. But yeah, we'll get to that.
I'll discuss that soon.
Yeah, I would like to hit Skyrim up
It's
again.
uh, it's a classic.
It's just hard to.
It's just a classic.
No, no, but it's such a. It is a time investment. 'Cause I don't think I've ever
Oh yeah,
sunk 200 hours. Is that even possible in 1 month? 200
I
hours.
know. It was
You conjured up out. You made them
I
up.
wasn't doing much else.
Time stops. And it was
Not
just you
movies,
playing
that's for
Skyrim.
sure. Hmm.
But I would like to go back to it. I do plan on getting a proper PC setup somewhat soon, so that would expand the gaming potential I could get
Capabilities.
myself into.
Hmm.
Um, but it also opens up that many other things that I would potentially do instead. Like I still have to go back to Fire Emblem Fates Revelation. Can't forget about that.
Of course, duh.
What do I do? Fire Emblem Fates Revelation or fucking one of the greatest games of all time. So considered by.
How long is Revelations? It's like 60 hours.
Yeah, Revelation? No, it's probably like 40. Each
40?
Fates route is
Okay.
like 30 or 40.
I thought Revelations was the longest one, but
It probably feels
You
that
can
way
knock
because
that out
it just
quick,
has
then.
all the characters and it just
Right.
But it has the same number of chapters. I mean, like if you do every paralogue, then
I guess
it's
that's
gonna
true.
take longer because it has like
All of the characters
like a
they could
50%
possibly recruit. Yeah.
increase almost in terms of paralogs, which I'm not gonna bother with that.
I think
And
I
using
did when I
everybody like
played
I'm
through it. I was
done
not a
with
fan.
that. I'm just like it's too much on my brain. I have to like every fucking map I have to swap around which units have which items and who I'm supporting with who, and I have to position them on the battlefield. And it's like if I just have one team, I can just focus on that, and I don't have to like constantly rethink everything with each map as it goes. But yeah, anyways, we're not talking about Fire Emblem. Neither of us played that in the past month. What is that doing here in our conversations? That's not what
It's
this
surprising.
podcast
We've been
thing
talking
is
about it for the past 4
Bro,
months.
what do
It
you
seems
mean? Oh shit. Yeah.
like we broke the streak.
0 days without Fire Emblem discourse. All right. The next video game I played relates to a past video game that I played and discussed on this channel. I had talked about Sonic Origins Plus and how I wanted to like check out the history of the blue hedgehog man thing because he is what's the term when you take a non-human thing and you give it human attributes, Peter?
Anthropomorphized.
Anthropomorphized, isn't there like another thing for like personified? Personified was
personified is a
that's
different word.
What
I
do you
think.
mean? Well, let me see if I got my words right. Actually, I'm thinking of a thing that sounds like persona. Represent by a figure in human form. How is that not personify? That was what I said. How is Sonic the Hedgehog not a hedgehog personified?
Oh, I feel like he's not. He's I don't know what kind of creature he is.
More accurately,
he's a hedgehog.
I mean,
that
it
is
says similar
anthropomorphized.
definitions according to Google. Anthropomorphize when you look up personify. They're similar. They're comparable. Okay, we're both a little right. People
I'm
could
probably
maybe
more right.
we'll let the
I'm
audience
probably
decide
more
whose word chosen is more accurate to describe the man, the myth of Sonic. And yeah, I played another game of his specifically that also explores the history of the thing, that being Sonic X Shadow Generations. This was a game that was originally released. It was originally released on the Wii U, and with under the name of Sonic Generations. They added the X and Shadow to like a newer, enhanced version of it, which honestly, the things that they add, I think, justify a new game, I guess, because they basically just double the length of it with the Shadow campaign, and it's really cool. Honestly, I think this game is probably peak Sonic the Hedgehog gameplay. In our last discussion, we talked about like. Or not last discussion, but last discussion that contained Sonic discourse. We had talked about how we didn't really understand what even was the thing that we were supposed to do. I mean, like you run forward, but it breaks that up with random platforming sections, and like you're supposed to go fast, you're supposed to replay the levels or something. But like I feel like Sonic Generation, like out of all the games from Sonic that I've played, which is most of them, I haven't played a handful of their more recent ones. I've also haven't heard the greatest things of like, Forces, and then they had some other 2D one somewhat recently that was like a co-op thing. And then they had, Forces, they had Frontiers. They had Forces and Frontiers. So Forces was the mostly bad one, and then Frontiers has like a mixed reception. I think people mostly like that one though. That one's like the open world one, sort of. I haven't played any of those. Anyways, out of like all of the ones that I have played, I feel like this one, makes the most sense, and like especially the Shadow campaign, like you just like even when like they give you a lot of tools that are really fun to play with in those levels, And even me as a guy just going into it for the first time, I'm not doing things or executing them in a perfect way. But when you do like eventually do like any number of the things that the game sort of like introduces to you and lets you try out, like it does feel really good, honestly. Like that Shadow campaign specifically is just like it's so good. Like unironically, like the Sonic Origins Plus, I think it's like a decent experience overall. It's like a, the old video game isms of it sort of frustrate me. But this one, like that, there wasn't a single annoyance had. It was just kind of like after every level, I'm like, wow, that was nice, which
like
was not a takeaway
good.
of the Sonic Origins experience. And like not every level is a banger, especially in the Sonic campaign. Like some of them are better than others there, definitely. The Shadow ones are just so consistent though. And like for them to, deliver on the Shadow stuff is something I appreciate, because I do, out of all of the Sonic games I have played, the one that I have perhaps the most nostalgia for is Shadow the Hedgehog, which was his own unique thing, which if people hate and dunk on that game, it's been a while since I've played it. It's probably bad, if I had to guess. But like he's like my comfort character, you could say. That's the new internet term that could be attributed to him for me. And the like playing as him and like just like all the new tools that they like gave him in his red, it's a lot of fun, I think. And they did something interesting. It's sort of comparable to Mario 3D World, where that was also on the Wii U. And then they had Mario World plus Bowser's Fury, which was on the Switch. And that Switch version, it enhanced the original game, like the base game of it a little bit, and then also added this new like side mode that was like it was like a mix of 3D World and Odyssey for Mario. It was like this, you go around like this small sort of 3D hub and just get collectibles and stuff, and like the world around you sort of shift as you like there's like progression in it and like hidden stuff in there. And it's a pretty similar thing for this one, Sonic X Shadow Generations, where they touch up the base game and make improvements there. The ones that the improvements that they did have, obviously I'm not going to notice because I didn't play the original. But like the Shadow campaign, it has you navigating around like a sort of similar 3D space that you progress through, and like that's how you access the levels and stuff through that. And yeah, it was just, I mean, it was kind of a solid time. I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it, especially the Shadow swing of things. And yeah, it's out of all the Sonic games I would revisit, it would probably be this to like just. I'm like, if I had to pick one to like master and just like play over and over to like get the whatever scores, rating, number things, it would probably be this one, because like again, like even the Sonic levels, most of them are really solid also, and even the worst ones, they're still like the worst ones in this are still going to be like pretty much better than any of the past ones, because this for the Sonic campaign specifically, it's really cool because they adapt both. Ones from the 2D games and 3D ones into like the opposite. So they'll have like 3D versions of the old 2D levels, and then they'll have 2D versions of the newer 3D levels. And like the way they like actually like implement that is genuinely really cool to see. I mean, it's basically just the whole game is basically fan service, because it's just like the entire history of like it's basically Sonic greatest hits. So it makes sense that this is probably one of the better ones, especially when you have a series as inconsistent as Sonic the Hedgehog. If you just take all the bangers from each of them and like perfect them, you're probably going to have a good one. And that's what this one is. So if I had to ever recommend one Sonic video game for people to check out, it would probably be this. It's not very long also. Like each level is like usually around 5 minutes. The longer ones might take 10. But yeah, it's a cool one that I enjoyed my time with.
How long is the total playthrough?
Probably like 10 hours at most for like both.
Is that pretty consistent throughout the series?
Yeah, so like Sonic 1 was maybe an hour or two. Excuse me. Sonic CD was an hour, and then Sonic 2 was maybe 2 or 3 hours, and then Sonic 3 and Knuckles was maybe 4 or 5. Okay. So yeah, they're all relatively short. I don't think too many of them go like even above 20 hours. I think at most they're probably like 15. We could always check out how long to beat. I wonder what the longest one is. Like Sonic 06, just because it's such bogus. I guess it's just called Sonic the Hedgehog is the official name of it. Which is hard to find on this because they all have Sonic. Oh yeah, see 16 hours for the main story, and that's probably on the longer side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people are saying 2 hours for Sonic CD. Man, you must have been terrible at that game. That took me like an hour probably from memory. I don't know. It could have been 2 hours. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, but they're not long.
They're not long. I mean, they go alongside the protagonist itself. They're fast games, and they are sort of meant to be replayed. So especially if you just like go through each level once, you're gonna blast right through them or something.
Right.
However the games market themselves, you blast right on through.
Yeah. Now that you're,
I'm hyping it up.
Things,
I'm hyping it up.
It's a big series, and it's a little intimidating because of that. But now that
they're very short,
know that they're pretty short, and also like I think I finally get the comparison. And my comparison would be to the game Neon White, and what I played recently was Your Beast.
They're probably comparable, where it's like reactionary shit.
It's that same kind of playthrough. Like I was always confused about Sonic, just because like I wasn't sure what to do, and I wasn't sure how to compare it to a game, because it's like I'm just going forward fast, and now I understand all that it entails when it's platforming speedrunning game. It has a different rhythm and a different appeal to it. It's not really get the level done once. It's about repeating it until you get at least 3 stars. If there's 3, or you got to max them out.
Yeah, that's how the older games emphasize that a bit more, where it's like if you get all the Chaos Emeralds through like optional shit in like each level, then you get this like the true ending of it or whatever in like the first 4 games or so. And in this, like you do eventually have to get all the Chaos Emeralds, but the exact way you get them is like much more doable. To the point where like even I did it, and like I didn't fuck around with any of like in the older games, like the optional. Like what you had to do, like you had to trigger a bonus level which differed from game to game, and then you had to beat that bonus level, get like a perfect score on it or whatever, and then you get the thing from that. I don't know if you had to like back in the day do it all on the same like save data, like one after another, or if it's on the cartridge, if you already have it, then you could I don't know how they worked back then. But I think on like Origins, for example, like because you could just go pick a level and do like whichever you want, and it'll like save on that file, like whether you got it or not. So I mean, it's easier there, but it's even easier in this one to get all of them, and it's a doable experience for sure. And probably it's just peak Sonic. I mean, let's be real. It's probably the best Sonic.
Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, exactly. It's peak.
All right. As we kind of alluded to,
as we spoiled it, oops.
The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, I decided to play through The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered.
Man, back to back.
And I wasn't expecting when I just picked up Skyrim to play that I would soon have for all intents and purposes, a new Bethesda game dropping. Because I never did my due diligence and checked out Oblivion back then or Morrowind. I did that for the Fallout games, but for some reason I never got into the wider Elder Scrolls gamography, and I definitely feel like I missed out a bit, because I like the world a lot and the lore is great, and getting to play in a new part in this world's history is great, especially it's a completely different land with a different lore. And Oblivion, it's scratching that same itch. They're similar games. The progression systems are slightly different. I don't really know which one I like better. This one, I guess for both Skyrim and Oblivion, they're systems that are fairly easy to kind of abuse and just exploit in order to become like super overpowered. And that's because the way that you level up is just by doing the action, and so there's probably like 30 things or like 20 skills that you level up, and it's from things like jumping to running to sneaking or swinging a sword. It's like each time you do one of those actions, then you gain XP. So if you just really grind one of those actions, you can like go from 0 to 100 levels in
Is there any
like,
of those
maybe
you did
10
for
minutes of just
either of these
oh
games?
yeah, yeah, I do it all the time in order to like get super powerful sneak, so then you can just go up against any enemy
The
without them
stealth archer
seeing.
strat,
And
which I've heard in Oblivion
it's
is less of a thing for some reason.
it's less of a thing because there aren't really any the skill expression is narrower in Oblivion. There's like 5 skills that you unlock for each kind of skill tree, and that's it. And you only get those from leveling those up. So at like level 25, 50, 75, 100, whatever, roughly. I can't remember exactly the point when you get the points or the skills, but in Skyrim you just get the skill points and you can choose from a tree of options. And so there's not as much variety in Oblivion, which is why you can't really spec into a super specialized role. But it's fairly easy to kind of be a jack of all trades depending on how hard you exploit the systems. But the world is cool. It's definitely smaller, and it looks great on the remastered version. There is still that, like, it's very obvious it's a remaster of a like an old, dated kind of jank game. Yeah, you could definitely like feel the DNA of the original game. Because even though I never played it, like everyone saw clips of those like character models, I feel like, and they're very similar. Some ugly looking motherfuckers in Cyrodiil, really disgusting. But the rest of the world it's just as fun to explore as Skyrim was. I still haven't really engaged with a ton of the quest lines, so I can't really judge it right now. But I'm starting to get into them, and they seem to be on par. I can't really compare them right now, but enjoying my time. It's just another game in the Elder Scrolls lore that I get to explore, utilizing all of the same gameplay mechanics that Skyrim did, and hey, I could not be more pleased.
Yeah, if you had to recommend, because how far are you into this one, would you say?
I'm maybe 20, 30 hours in, I say.
If someone were to, like, for their first Elder Scrolls game, this versus Skyrim, which would you say?
Skyrim.
You think so?
Skyrim. Yep.
But this one's newer.
It is new, but the core mechanics are all just directly ripped from the original. They were very faithful to that, for better for worse. So there's still a lot of, quality of life mechanics that Skyrim introduced that they chose not to implement in Oblivion. They just kept it as authentic as possible. And that's a pro and a con. I think it helps because now there's very two distinct experiences you could get from Skyrim and Oblivion. Not to mention just the unique worlds. But for ease of access, I would definitely put Skyrim above Oblivion for sure.
Okay. And I saw people when this game released, a lot of people messing around with the character creator. Did you do too much of that, or did you just create your generic Lewin dude and then just go?
I always play as a Khajiit, which is the cat people
really?
in these games.
Why?
So their
is it for stats, or you just love the way they look so much?
I like their stats, yes, because they are sneaky.
Oh,
so
okay.
they have innate benefits to going stealth builds, which I find myself doing often in these games. Also, I like their lore. They're just cool, and they offer like a unique kind of outsider perspective for these two games, especially because the Khajiit in lore are not really a part of Skyrim or Cyrodiil, which is where Oblivion takes place. And so
isn't there just foreigners or something?
They're foreigners, and they're also it's fairly directly inspired by like the Roma people. So they're kind of viewed as thieves and like traitors, roaming.
Yeah, I thought they were mostly
nomadic
like merchants or
tribes.
something, from my understanding. And like
Yeah, exactly.
the very
Merchants.
small amount of gameplay of Skyrim that I played, which was 20 hours, which for most games
Yeah,
that's a lot, but for Skyrim it's not so much.
not quite enough to say you've truly experienced the game.
Yeah, I know I need to do 200 hours per month to get on top of that shit. Now how much does like the racial like features matter in like this game? Is it like only at the start, just like determine starting stuff, and then like NPCs treat you differently, sort of?
So NPCs treat you differently, but it's not
It's only a
anywhere
handful of them.
near like not any like it's not even fucking close to like a Baldur's Gate
Right.
in terms of actual role playing. It's mostly just for stats.
Yeah.
Um,
Like some
there
random
are-
dude at
yeah.
the start is racist to you if you're everybody except his race or something.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
The dark elf NPC.
Yeah, it happens maybe like I don't know, 20 times total in Skyrim.
Okay.
It's not really a thing that I notice often. Yeah, definitely not as robust as a Baldur's Gate racial background and class stuff. Yeah, it's not quite trying to be that role playing game. It's more of a RPG in the Western sense of the world, I'd say.
No, yeah, I get you. Did you end up trying to do like, despite the fact that like the stealth archer strats aren't as strong in this one? Did you try doing something similar? Did
Oh
you
yeah,
try doing some
it's
other
still
random
like the easiest way to
really?
progress through the game, because if the enemy cannot see you, then they cannot attack you, and so if you can just kill them
Yeah.
without them ever attacking you, it's just the easiest way to progress through the
And
game.
how does the stealth work, like actually in this game? Like, 'cause I never understood it. Is it
It's-
just like if your stat is like so much higher than their like sense internal stat or something, you can just
Yeah,
basically be
they-
invisible to them and like shoot at them no matter what?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they compare your sneak stats. There are lighting elements, so if you are obviously in daylight versus in shadow, there are perspective things. So if you are in their line of
Field
sight,
of vision.
then they'll see you. Pretty basic stuff.
Yeah, sure.
If you're wearing heavy armor, you'll
You make
sound louder.
noise. And that,
Yeah. So all the standard stealth stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Honestly, Skyrim's stealth system is like so ubiquitous to me now that it even though obviously it's not the first one, it wasn't even the first in the series, but most people are familiar with a Skyrim kind of stealth system, and it has become, I guess the blueprint for what will go on to be like better stealth systems in other games.
in
obviously.
theory, it's been like 20 years or some shit. Or whatever. What was Skyrim
They
first
still,
released? Like
like-
2012, 11?
11, yeah.
Like 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Elder Scrolls 6 will have the best stealth things ever. Basically, definitely won't be copy paste to what was.
There's just
in
no
5.
way the Elder Scrolls 6 is gonna be
Bro, who knows?
a success. Like it's gonna make money for sure, but the discourse around it is gonna be fucking ass. I'm just calling
you
it
don't
now.
think it's going to be a success? You think it's going to be a Dragon
I think
Age
it'll be a success.
Inquisition? They
I
made
think it'll be
Skyrim
good.
woke. They made
Yeah.
Elder Scrolls
Well,
woke.
yeah, I think there is going to be a
Like
ton
that?
of
Like what?
there's going to be a ton of culture war around it,
okay.
no doubt about it. There's like, I don't know, depending on when it comes out. If it even comes out in the next 5 years, I'm putting down money right now saying that the discourse around it is going to be so fucking ass. Maybe not the worst of all time, but it's going to be bad. And
Yeah.
I'm just,
Modern
fully
stage of the
expecting
internet,
it.
just so many people chewing in on it, trying to make their
Yeah.
opinion seem
Yeah,
important
just
or something.
trying to, grift. Got to get the money. Got to get the
Unlike
the
us, we're
views,
not
the
motivated
attention.
by that. We're purely our own opinions here,
Yeah,
and they're
I'm-
they just so happen to be the correct ones. Interestingly enough,
it's just how it is.
you think the game's going to be bad, or just the discourse around it's going to be bad?
I think it's not gonna meet everyone's
It's overhyped and it's gonna
expectations.
implode.
I think it's gonna be overhyped. I think I'm gonna enjoy it.
Sure.
I still haven't played Starfield, but I have a feeling that if
Oh,
I play
yeah.
Starfield, I'm gonna enjoy it.
It uses that same
about as
system
much.
that they have.
It's because Skyrim was such a unique, a storm that it captivated audiences like it did, where it's like, a pretty unique fantasy world at a time where people really wanted to get into fantasy. It was like a really open world stuff at the time when
Yeah, huge
open worlds were
for the
becoming
time.
huge. You know, just a world that you can get lost in with a really unique charm that is, you know, specialized by Bethesda. And so, you know, could you say that any game company at the time could have created Skyrim? I'm not sure about that, but it was just, you know, a perfect storm that created it. And so now that they gained all of that audience with Skyrim, I don't think there's any way they could possibly please all of them
No,
for
yeah.
Elder Scrolls 6, especially with the way that Starfield turned out and the way that you know, they've been kind of running the company as a company.
I mean, it's because it's hard to like, because it was so impactful because of its size, partially. So like what by modern standards you would have to sort of do the equivalent of that in theory, maybe.
Yeah, but
it's like how much bigger can you even?
People are
make
already
these
burnt out
things?
on that.
No,
Exactly. Like the people fell in love with Skyrim because it was an open world and it was massive, and so games for the past 14 years have been trying to be, oh, this is
also massive,
twice as big as Skyrim. This
Yeah,
is
yeah.
like 200 times bigger. Like this world is massive. It takes you 20 hours to walk
Yeah, but then
from
you
one
play
end
Breath of
to
the
the
Wild
other.
and you just walk around for 50 minutes without a
And
single
it's like,
bokoblin in sight. or
people
something.
are definitely burnt out on the appeal of open
Yeah.
world
Oh
games.
yeah.
And
People
so,
have, the 180 has happened, and it's I like open world games, and obviously so do you. I mean, you're playing these two of them back to back from the same franchise, and are enjoying
Yeah.
the both of them. And like
Yeah.
I mean, in theory, I like every genre. There's just going to be good and bad ones with each of them, and there's going to be the companies trying to replicate what has been done in the recent history that has achieved success, and they're going to try to reach that sort of similar success themselves, which has worked out to varying degrees in their own success, I guess.
I think that's fair to say.
But yeah, like yeah, I could see it imploding. It's like it's probably one of the most hyped games ever. Maybe
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
there's like because it's
absolutely.
just
It's like up there with GTA 6.
I was about
It's
to
like
mention
those
that,
two.
yeah, of like
Yeah.
GTA 5 has also been out for like a similar amount of time. It came out slightly after Skyrim, right? Like a few years.
Yeah.
Maybe it was probably
I think
closer to like 2014 or 13.
or something. Yeah.
And so like, I mean, I don't know. I was never into the GTA games. I never really played them much, but that newer one, it does look really nice, visually speaking. And I would assume, excuse me, that it would deliver on whatever it's trying to set out of just being a cool, even newer GTA experience. And yeah, they really haven't shown much from Elder Scrolls 6, have they? It was just like the title card like 3 or 4 years ago almost.
4,
And that's
brother. It was like
4?
8. It was like, it's actually been so long since that announcement trailer came out. Yeah, no, it's been a very long time.
Wow.
And
They just announced Witcher 4 also.
there's been no word. So, who really knows? It'll come out.
Todd,
It'll
what are you
be the
planning?
talk of the town. And
Oh, yeah,
then,
definitely.
You know, people will love it. People will hate it. It's just gonna be a game.
It's
at the end
gone
of the day,
woke.
I think. It'll
or
be.
something.
I think it'll be a good game.
No, yeah.
But it's just not going to change the culture like Skyrim did, which is what people are expecting.
Yeah. For it to innovate
And
on that
I don't
level.
think, I probably think Grand Theft Auto 6, if I have to call it here, is also, it's going to be a good game. But I don't know if it's going to do the things that 5 did. I think they're really trying, and if anyone was to pull it off, I would trust Rockstar, because they do really just get super granular with their, you know, sandbox worlds and their, like, really immersive ecosystem of, like, the city. But, hey, I think people love getting their expectations way too high. And so people are going to get burned no matter what.
Yeah. I expect that to be a cool video game. I don't even know if I'll check it out because I haven't played any of the GTAs.
Yeah. I mean, I really liked 5, so I don't even know if I'll be able to run 6 though when it eventually comes
on
out.
your computer.
So,
It'll just
I'll
be
have to
that
plug in.
requiring, you think?
yeah, I think it's going to be.
I mean,
I
could
know
you
they'll
think
have
running like Baldur's
accessibility
Gate
stuff.
3 on like max settings? Because that was pretty damn requiring.
Definitely
as
not
far
max,
as PC stuff goes.
But yeah, it was good enough to look good.
Because mine
it'll be
was
fine.
laggy as shit, but I still
Yeah.
love that game, and I want to go back to it, especially since it has
Fantastic.
that the updates of the subclasses
I
and
know.
other stuff.
I need to
They
go
look
back
cool.
to it too.
They look really
yeah,
cool.
they do.
Um,
Ugh.
Anyways, that's us talking about Baldur's Gate and GTA 6 marks the end of the Oblivion 4 remastered discussion.
Yeah.
All right.
So what else were you playing?
Oh, I have one more that I just I ended up 100%ing it, which I just wrapped up that yesterday. It's this game called Master Detective Archives Raincode Plus. Now that's a mouthful right there. You could tell that it comes from Japan with a title like that. And this comes from this company, developer, people, Spike Chunsoft, I guess. And they are most known for developing these sets of games known as the Danganronpa series, of which there's 3 of them and 1 spin-off. And it's important to establish that it comes from the same people because this game is basically their... it's like a way of, I think, modernizing the exact formula gameplay loop thing that each of the Danganronpa games have, while also trying to do something more unique and, stands on its own, because each of the Danganronpa games sort of build off on each other, one after another, and they serve as a good sort of set of 3 games there, as a series. And this one is just, it stands on its own, I guess. And it's decent overall, though, like, what it's missing from Danganronpa is pretty substantial, and what it replaces with it is not so much. So, like, the premise of Danganronpa, it's like high school students, and you're trapped in a particular place, and you're forced to into a situation where people have to murder each other and get away with it. And if you get away with it, then you get to leave the place that you're trapped in. And so it's about the loop is like exposition stuff happens. You learn about the characters and the sort of the surrounding your locations you're sort of encased in. And then a murder happens, so there's this sort of investigation phase as you and the other people try to sort of piece together what's been happening. And then you all the characters meet up, and there's the thing called the class trial, where everyone discusses what they sort of think happened, and you eventually like learn through it or try to figure out yourself what happened, how and why, and who was the murderer and stuff. And Master Detective Archives Raincode Plus, it tries to do something similar to that, where it is still about solving murders mostly, with the exception of the last chapter. But it misses out on that, like the characters and overarching stories that each of the Danganronpa games have. Which, like, even those ones, like, they're not perfect when it comes to the story or the characters. They're pretty out there, especially the characters in those games. And in Master Detective, it's much more segmented, where, like, each chapter, like, the things that happen don't really carry over to from one chapter to another. Meanwhile, in Danganronpa, it's a constant, like, each game within it, like the plot is like a constant evolution of like, this murder's taking place because this thing happened before it, sort of. And like even them, like they're sort of segmented like a little bit, but not to the extent that this one is. And it really misses out on like that, like the sort of like the main takeaways, the why is this all happening? Like the whatever term we learned in like English literacy of like the main takeaway. Not like theme, but like just there was some sort of phrase where it's like, why is the story the way it is, and the fucking happening in the way it is. Like, what's the main, I guess, takeaways there? Because this game, it feels like it lacks that. Like, there were times where I felt like this game would be better if instead of being a 35, 40 hour long, essentially visual novel, it was instead just like a couple of like Professor Layton-esque puzzles, where like some in those games they have like some puzzles that like take way longer to solve than others, I think, if memory serves me right. Or like if we were just given like, hey, here's a bunch of facts about this murder case, and then you're just like given like 10, 15 minutes to like really think about it and just like sort it out in your head, and then you just guess, and it's like, oh, I'm wrong, oh shit, I need to rethink that or something. Just like solve the entire thing, like you're presented all the information, solve the entire thing yourself, rather than this like, it just felt sort of pointless at times. Like like it wasn't in service of much. Like when the exposition is so long, it's a very slow game, and so are the Danganronpa ones, sort of. But they just feel like they're in stronger service of this overarching story across each of them, and the characters. It's sort of the main thing when people talk about those games is the characters and how like various different fans get attached to like different characters who either die or are murdered or live throughout the events, if that is a thing that ever happens to anybody, not to spoil it or anything. And you are really missing that in this, where like none of the characters really stand out. There's a handful of interesting things that like I think overall it holds up in a positive way. I think in my head is how I'm rationalizing it right now. It just like is not always consistently there. Like the investigation like parts of the game are like some of the characters have superpowers essentially, where they can like solve mysteries in like a really cool or seemingly interesting way, like and super convenient for detectives. Like they can like, one of them can revert a crime scene like back, like just an entire like room or something. They could like revert it back to the past to like see like how it looked, to see if like certain people or descriptions of things like matched up with like before the crime took place or something. And then somebody else has like the powers to like transform them and another person into like somebody else, basically. So you just like disguise and like infiltrate a particular thing, which I think that one, honestly, the character who possesses it is really annoying because they're like this stupid pervert character thing, which of course they are. But the actual like chapter that they aid in the investigation is probably the most interesting, because you transform as different characters and you sort of grab different sets of information from different characters. And like even as different characters, you'll get information from the same character, but they're only going to tell one character one thing and then another character another thing. So it honestly made that chapter sort of a standout, because it really felt like it was, oh, there's a point of like me actually going through this like investigation process as the protagonist through the player, rather than that what I was suggesting it could alternatively be, the puzzle where I'm just given all the information and just have to solve every random thing. But yeah, it's still interesting, I guess, overall. It has this sort of RPG system going on with it, where like the Danganronpa games had this also, where there was free time, which was limited to only a handful amount of days that you could spend hanging out with people, and through that you would unlock skills that could be equipped during the class trials that could make certain parts of it easier, and the amount of like points you can allot to select those skills was based on this level, which would go up. I think it's just as you walked around the game, it would just constantly go up. For some reason, that's how they decided to implement that, I guess. But that's like all fine and good there. But in this one, they it's just one level system where as you investigate stuff and solve the mysteries, you get experience. And when your level increases, you get a certain amount of both SP and EP for skill points and equipment points, respectively. And you always have the same amount of them. And the cost it takes to unlock skills and equip them is the exact same. So there's like no like creative choice really behind what, like when you equip skills or when you don't, with like one exception, which I'll get to. Meanwhile, in Danganronpa, there's you're in theory, if you're playing blind, you're not going to know like which characters will give you access to which skills, and you're also not going to probably not run around endlessly until you're like max level or whatever, so you get to just equip whatever you want. You had to like consider, okay, I have these things and I only have so many points to allot them to, like a like any RPG really that has this kind of systems. You had to like think about like, okay, which do I equip for this thing given what, like with what I am given, what do I make of it? And in this, it's kind of just brainless. It's just like, okay, well, I have the exact same across both of them, so I'm surely just going to equip everything at the same time. Again, with one exception, which is that so once you beat the game, you unlock this new game plus, or not new game plus. You unlock chapter select, so you can just go to like any chapter and you can start on like either from the beginning or from the mystery. It's called the mystery labyrinth in this, rather than the class trial, and it's just where you figure out and piece together step by step like what happened during the murder cases. And every time you do chapter select and go into a level there, all of your the skill tree resets. Like the amount of points you have for each of them remains the same, but the skill tree resets. So you have to equip them, repurchase them, and then re-equip them like each time you want to do that. And that doesn't seem like a big deal because it's only on the chapter select. But if you want to 100% the game, you are probably not like looking up a guide to like, because you have to get like perfect scores on each of them for one of the achievements. And you're probably not on the first run through them looking up an achievement guide and getting a perfect score on them for the first time playing. Because I mean, that's really not like, if you're playing them that way, that's, you're probably missing the point a little bit, I think. Like you should play them, especially mystery games, you should play them blind and not like, have a guide pulled up on how to solve everything. Probably, if you're doing things that way, you're maybe not the target audience of like, I don't know, whatever. I mean, you could do it that way. It exists. Why not? But you are probably not doing it that way if you want to 100% it. So that would require me to go back and play with the guide on sort of a repeat run for each of the mystery things. So each time I did it, I had to go into the menu and pop it open and re-equip each of the things, which doesn't seem like a big deal, but it takes sort of an ungodly amount of time. There's only like maybe there's I think 16 in total, but you only want to equip you only want to purchase 11 of them, and you only want to equip 10 of them, because it does like this completely bogus rating system where based on in theory it should be based on how much damage you took during it. Like if you get questions wrong and stuff like that, like you'll take damage overall, and that'll like hurt your final grade, which like to get a perfect score you have to take no damage. So that's how it should be, but it's actually based on your health total. And so what happens is you enter the thing through chapter select and you're at like the minimum health total. Through the skill tree you could get more health, but you don't want to do that because it will set your maximum higher, but it will not match your current one higher. So if you just take no damage, but you increase your health, you will not get a perfect score like on the final thing, because your health total isn't your current health points isn't the maximum, because that's not how it fucking works. It's like, what did you do this for? Like you just screwed people trying to 100% your game like the first time. Like thank God I had this Steam guide where it's like they warned you like, do not fucking equip that shit, man. You will lose. And I had to verify for myself because I was curious. Where I had it unequipped up until the end, and then I had a save that I went back to unequip it or to equip it. And yeah, you just get like a lower score, and it's like actually like what kind of design, like who did this? Who the hell did this? And again, equipping them is so annoying because at first, it's going to sound the super first world problems, I know. And there's going to be some other first world problem issues that I had with it also that sound like the stupidest nitpicks. But anyways, in this, you had to, you open the skill tree and then you're presented with the skills and then you select one of them. And then it then prompts you to, okay, are you sure you want to buy this skill? Yes or no? And it defaults you to no. So you have to select, you have to move your fucking cursor to the other way to select yes. And that doesn't seem like a big deal, but there's a delay on it. It's not an instant as soon as the thing pops up. Again, I know I'm sounding like a complete crazy person.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, you get it because you're an epic gamer lord like myself. But for the noobs out there, I'm educating you here. So there's a delay on it, so you can't just press it immediately. You have to wait like a small amount of time, but it adds up because you're doing this like 11 times. And for the first time, you have to select, because it does that pop up once. And then there's another one for, do you want to equip this now? Which also defaults to no. And you're only going to do that no default when you do the chapter select run for the first health bar thing that you get. Because everything else you're going to want just to make it, that much easier. So it seems annoying, but it does take at least a legitimate like minute or two, like every time you do it. Which, like, in theory, it doesn't seem that bad, but like it's just like a fucking annoying thing. It should be so easy, and it should just save. It should just like save whatever thing, because it's like I've already bought these. Like, why would it reset when I'm doing the chapter select? Like, I could unequip them whenever I want to. Beyond that point, like I'm not, because the points are the same across both of them. Like, if it wasn't that way, then it would matter, like resetting it all. But there's also just a button on the thing to reset them all. Like who came up with all this shit? It's like it's a bunch of nitpicks with it, but it adds up. And when you do the trials back to back, it is just like each time I'm doing it, I'm like, why was it done in this way? And like I'm talking about it right now for the same amount of actual real time I spent doing it, but it bears to be talked about. Okay, if we want to strive for the best gaming experience as possible, I think menus and their functionality within them play a big deal, especially for ones that implement RPG systems into them. So yeah, that's my conclusion on that first world problem. Complain about it. There's my other one is walking has never felt more pointless in any video game I have ever played. We gave the example earlier, or I did sort of like the Breath of the Wild thing, which I do really love that game. But in that game, you run for a long time with seemingly nothing going on. You counter, I haven't seen that rock before, probably, maybe. That's not a real thought that anyone playing that would feel, but I'm just making that up. But like, you encounter random things here and there. The world is very spread out. And that was the sort of main complaint about that video game when it released, and is still, discussed about now, because it's was also very influential and popular and talked about a lot. But even in that game, there is a purpose in walking or running, in that it gets you from one place to another, right? In real life, but also in video games. And the character in this video game is maybe the slowest motherfucker I've ever ran around as. It's in the control menu. It's called running, but it doesn't really feel like that. It's like a brisk jog. He's taking his time. I'm investigating a murder, but like I could afford to. He's short, which is actually plot significant. I was surprised how that actually they interweaved that in, because I was able to predict a twist that near the end of the game because of his height, which was interesting. But anyways, so like in lore, it makes sense why he's slow, I guess. But like, short people could be fast too. Like, right? I mean, like, I haven't
especially in a game.
No, yeah. You can make anything up.
Whatever speed you want.
You're determining the speed at which this fictional character runs. You decide, and like the world isn't super big, but it's still like it feels like it takes forever to get from one place to another.
Which is not
and like
a good feeling.
There is fast travel to get from like one part of the map to another, but during the parts of the game where that's locked, it's just like kind of a slog. And that's just the overworld. When you are traversing the mystery labyrinths, is what they're called, when you're figuring out the like murder mystery stuff. It requires a surprising amount of walking for some reason. And I really don't understand why, because in Danganronpa, there's walking to get from one point of the map to another, which makes sense. But the class trial is everybody stands around and it's just dialogue. And then there's gameplay where you like decide who is wrong and how, and then you like various other random mini games to like figure out what happened exactly. But in this video game, they have those things, and then in between they have sections where you just walk from down like a hallway from like one point to the other, and it just like it's a weird thing to complain about, right? Like walking in a video game, that should be like, I mean, how many video games have walking or running that don't? Probably more of them have running or walking, maybe. I mean, like tower defenses, I could think of, for example, probably don't have that. Even the UFO 50 tower defense in that has a character walking around.
It does.
Anyways, it's a very basic thing that's in a lot of video games that people know about. And it seems like a weird thing to complain about. But it just like makes no sense in this game. Like it feels so pointless because there's just times where nothing is happening. And it's like, we're supposed to be solving this mystery. And you just feel like you're wasting my time by making me run down this fucking hallway for the billionth time. And like, I felt that just going through the main game and then especially going through it at, the chapter select, trying to get the best scores. It's just completely pointless. And it's weirdly inconsistent about like when it can fast forward certain scenes and when it could skip certain scenes versus when you just have to kind of let things play out, which again really only matters during the chapter select experience, because if you're again doing the skipping and fast forwarding during your first time playing it, you're probably not playing it correctly because it's it's a visual novel, so it's like the whole game is based upon the dialogue and stuff. So it's like I think you're playing it wrong if you're not if you're skipping all the text. Like I don't know why you're playing it unless you're speed running it. In which case, like I feel like visual novels out of every game type probably have to be the worst to speed run, just because they're so fucking.
There's definitely people who do it though.
No, I know. I bet plenty of people speed run this and Danganronpa because it's like in the context of these specifically, it would just be like memorizing all the correct choices at the right times. That happen because there is gameplay. It's just that it's a lot of dialogue. And yeah, the walking, like it's so like I felt like so weird for like even like thinking about like this is stupid because it's just walking, right? Like it's, but in the context of this video game, it just makes no sense, and it's they do it pointlessly. Think about walking. Yeah.
If you are ever consciously thinking about your movement in the game,
it should feel natural.
You better hope it is like because it's really good movement. Because if it's not, then that
Sonic X Shadow Generation flying around as shadow. You're not walking in those.
And it feels great.
Basically fine.
But like the movement has to feel good, or it shouldn't feel like anything at all.
Yeah.
If it ever feels bad,
it's just a lot of emblem
something's out of tune.
For no like in service of nothing. And I know I'm talking about that for a long time. Like not the entire game is walking. There's a lot of dialogue also. But there's also a lot of dialogue that coincides with the walking. And sometimes for certain hallways, you just have to wait for like characters will just talk and they'll just like, you'll make a decision and then they will just explain. And like there's like other characters who will go in the dungeon with you, and you also have like this annoying, not so annoying, but like slightly annoying sidekick, marketable waifu mascot thing, who also enters the dungeon with you. And like the characters, they'll like after you make a decision, they'll like talk about it, reason about it, which it was also in the Danganronpa games because eventually it would naturally lead to the next conversational topic typically. And in this, like even within this, it's more segmented where it's like each, like there is some natural progression in like how the questions and stuff are brought up, but it's not through conversation necessarily. Which I don't know if me explaining that would spoil it. It's just the way that the Mystery Dungeon thing, Mystery Dungeon is a Pokemon spin-off. Mystery Labyrinth, it's how it works in this game. Yeah, because some of the times it's just good. You'll be set into an infinite hallway, and it doesn't matter like if you walk for all of the time that the characters are speaking or not. It only really matters once they're done talking, then you walk, then something happens. But that's only for when the hallway's infinite. And if there is a stopping point in the hallway, then you better hope your ass was walking while they were talking, or else you're gonna have to walk all of that in addition to hearing them. So it was like this weird like meta of like, okay, is the hallway infinite or not? Do I walk or not? Do I bother holding up on my joystick while they're talking right now, or do I just let this play out and just walk at the very end? like it's just such like a weird thing.
Yeah, there are a few games that I've played where there is sometimes random dialogue that you'll want to stick around for, but if you ever go to the next room, then it gets cut off.
It's not like that.
It's definitely a thing
because it's required.
Right, and
it doesn't let you skip
random.
it sometimes. It's required, and it's you have to wait it out if it's that required thing. Or like because sometimes you'll have both, right? You'll have a required set of dialogue, but it's an infinite hallway, so it only matters if you start walking after. If you're still walking after, they stop talking. And then there's sometimes where they'll talk, but it's a hallway that ends. And you could reach the end of the hallway sometimes by the time they're done talking, but you have to be at the end of it, like after they're done talking. Like if that makes sense.
What,
like,
yeah.
It was just it was weird. That whole aspect of that there. Like I've never complained or thought about like, man, walking is sure kind of dumb in this video game. But yeah, that's me first world problem nitpicking it. This is the plus version of this video game. It was originally I think just released on Switch or something, and then like the year after, or like I don't know, even maybe like a couple months, it was just like a plus version of it released on other systems. Which just included the DLC, which the DLC is very small. It's basically just sort of character side stories, and they're okay. They vary in quality a little bit, but yeah, overall, even though I was complaining about the walking and the RPG menu system, that's just me nitpicking, I guess. Overall, I do think it's decent. Not every particular aspect of the story characters I feel like are in service of like a major thing, but it does have its moments on occasion. I think it does have a decent ending overall. So yeah, it's hard to recommend though, because it's like the gameplay of it is much easier than the Danganronpa games, but it's also like rated M, so it's not like babies are going to be playing this probably. And it sort of sits in this weird spot where it's probably only Danganronpa fans might enjoy it. But then also, it's just easier than any of those games. So yeah, I don't know. It sits at this weird spot. I'm interested in this other video game done by them, the 100-line, what is it called? Defense Academy. It looks kind of cool. It's also like a visual novel. Is it Tower Defense? That's my guess. I don't really know. It seems cool though. It has like a bunch of endings or something that are supposedly all good. Maybe good as in like the quality of them is good.
Yeah.
That one seems like a cool one that I'll probably check out. Yeah. I've heard good things about this. Meanwhile, for Master Detective's Archives Ranked, I've heard like nothing. I feel like I've heard absolutely nothing, but it's a decent looking game, and it's basically fully voice acted. It's a decent time overall. Just difficult to recommend because it's so slow, and I feel like the audience for it is pretty narrow, which is reflected in the fact that it isn't really talked about. But I had a decent time with this one, despite my rants about walking and menu stuff.
All right. I think that takes us to the end of our video game discussion.
Yes, sir.
So I get to take it away with the music.
Yes, please do your thing.
Some great albums to come out recently. First, Men I Trust dropped a follow-up to their Equus Asinus album. That would be Equus Caballus. It's similar to their the first one, where it's kind of a dreamy bedroom pop, a little less jazzy than the first one, and more straightforward and kind of catchy. So take that as you will. I enjoyed it. Another mixtape from Pink Pantheress. Fancy that. It's a very short project, like only 20 minutes long, but it does go. I like it a lot. Very catchy. Catchy dance pop with her usual style of like UK garage stuff. Great beats, and she really knows how to write a hook. Another album from Kali Uchis, this one called Sincerely. Really gorgeous, pop soul stuff. Just like incredibly lush instrumentation. Kali's voice is just fantastic as always. Honestly, she's been super consistent over the past, I don't even know how long, 8 years maybe. Definitely has really not missed for me. All of her stuff is good, and if you like one, then you most likely will like any of her stuff. And another album from an artist called Erica de Cassier. She does some really interesting stuff all over the place, kind of down tempo stuff, R&B, and really moody stuff, very slow and kind of groovy, kind of nocturnal, a really enjoyable listen, just kind of moody and smooth, which is very similar to that album I have up next from a band called Smurs, the album called Big City Life. Also a blend of kind of art pop and alt pop and R&B stuff, really kind of almost gritty and kind of awkward pop. It's really rhythmic and kind of party oriented, really great beats and bumping stuff. And it's paired with this kind of childlike songwriting and vocals and very kind of strange and deadpan. I enjoyed it a lot. If you're looking for some moodier pop that is maybe a little cooler and offbeat than you might be expecting. Another album from the artist Yule, which is a really cool one, kind of a blend of alt rock and pop and electropop stuff. Great production throughout. I've been a fan of their stuff for a while now, and this is maybe their most energetic project. The other stuff is usually more dreamy, but this stuff is, still a very solid project to check out. Album coming from the band called Caroline. The album is Caroline 2. Really cool stuff, post-rock, kind of folk-inspired stuff. Very big, grand, avant-garde songs, kind of glacial in their pace, but also very kind of noisy and abstract, really intricate songwriting and song playing. I think the instruments all sound great on this album, and it's a very interesting listen. Something a little more heady than you might be expecting. And then finally, an album that came out from Planning for Burial, called It's Closeness, It's Easy. Really heavy black gaze and shoegaze stuff with some cool ambient interludes. I don't think I'm quite as much of a fan of the ambient portions of this album, but the guitars and the drums all sound fantastic, really crushing, and like enveloping, just as black gaze, shoegaze inspired album should be. So if you are into any of those genres, then I would recommend checking that out. That takes me to the end of my music recommendations.
Hell yeah. I think I was supposed to prep and mention something. Oops, I forgot to do that. Maybe next time I'll say something, but the people listening have enough things to be listened to, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That's quite the month there. Not nearly as big as, what was the big one? I guess they've all been kind of chunkier in the last couple months.
Mm-hmm.
Just going through.
There's been a lot of good stuff coming out.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. All right. Next is books, which I got nothing here.
I've got one to talk about briefly. Just another book club recommendation. Called The Nightingale,
okay,
by Kristen Hanna. And this one was a historical fiction, a tale of two sisters in France during World War II, and their, the ways that they dealt with the Nazi occupation. And I thought it was solid overall. It was kind of cool to see the French perspective on World War II, because I feel with most of my exposure to World War II media, it's often from an American perspective, or
Right.
maybe even British. But I honestly think I have a somewhat lack of French World War II media. Maybe we'll have to get back on that. But this one was good and unique in that perspective for me. I think it did a good job of kind of highlighting the difference in the culture that was experienced at the time, and the terror that came with being forced to support what is an occupying force, and how do you try and survive in that? Do you appeal and appease to the invaders, or do you put yourself at risk and possibly everyone else at risk by fighting back? And it's very standard themes for the discussion around World War II. But I think overall it's an enjoyable read. Pretty good sense of writing, and prose was really nice to read as well. So
Yeah, cool.
Would recommend if you're into those.
Yeah. So you're saying the 4.6 out of 5 on Goodreads is justified this time? Compared to other books you've read recently?
I think it's probably more. It's a more deserved than some of the other.
Yeah, whichever one we talked about
highly
last time,
rated
the
ones.
time before, was that the Hunger Games one or something? Some other one.
Yeah. Probably Onyx Storm from the Fourth Wing series.
Yeah, I think it was that.
I don't even want to know what that's rated right now.
I think I said in the episode it was like high. It was like 4.
Yeah, it's definitely over 4. Because all of that series is over 4. But yeah, would not recommend that. I would recommend this one.
Yeah, this one, however, it seems interesting. All right, with that, we're on to the YouTube section. I have one thing, I guess, which I closed
don't
out
have
of the
anything
tab.
in particular.
No?
No.
You haven't watched anything? There's no sports section with Peter? It's over?
I guess I've been getting into Cubs baseball.
Oh,
this team in specific
Sports is back.
It's pretty fun.
Okay.
They've been doing really well, hot into June, and I unfortunately didn't really watch baseball at the time when the Cubs won 2016, but I was definitely aware, as were most people in Chicago and Chicagoland area.
Right.
But now that I'm actually associated with Chicago, it's fun being able to support a local team, especially one that is so fun to watch and very hot streak in it right now. So yeah,
nice. Gotta love it. I've never been into. Have you ever been into baseball that much, or it's just someone about it that's gotten into?
It's intimidating because of how much stats there are and all of the ratings and the averages and all that. But I've kind of done my homework now, and I can now feel an appreciation for all of those things. Whereas at one time they would have turned me off. It was like, oh, ERA, RBI, OPS. What are we talking about? What are all these letters and these numbers? But once you're more familiar with everything, it's a fun game. And when you have a team that's winning, it's much easier to get into it. That's for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense too. The culture surrounding that it grabs you and pulls you. Not saying that you're a victim or anything. It's just baseball is baseball. Anyways, on YouTube, I don't watch sports. What even are those? Are the abbreviations, rules, points, numbers? No, I put all of that into video game stats, numbers, which makes sense to me. And I like the good old Let's Play, and I like the good old Pokemon, and that Nuzlocke. We talked about them briefly during whenever I mentioned Pokemon Emerald, which is the thing that you have done, Peter, but I've not really. I tried it once, sort of. But anyways, I was curious about what really is that process like. So I checked out this dude, Maryland. I don't know if you're familiar at all with him. He's a a fairly well-known
think
sort
so.
of Pokemon YouTuber. He hasn't made a video in like a year, so I don't know. I guess he, his channel's dead. I don't know. It's but anyways, I checked out a thing of his because he does Pokemon Nuzlocke things. He specifically has this type of them called wedlocks. Which, if anything, I would recommend just checking out the video where he explains the rules for it, because it's kind of hilarious. Just like the lengths that people will go to like bring challenges to this sort of game. But it's I specifically ended up watching his Fire Red one just to get sort of like a standard, like what even is this sort of experience, sort of like. And yeah, it was cool. It was that I think you had explained it a little bit last time, like the sort of like the story it forms by like having Pokemon die and shit rather than just like they pass out and I keep using them. But them dying is like dramatic and cool, and it creates like cool, unique, epic moments that like wouldn't necessarily normally be in a Pokemon game experience if you just played through it normally. And with this Maryland Fire Red Let's Play, that's definitely apparent. I feel like if there were any deaths that did occur, they were probably dramatic, not to spoil it or anything. But like, yeah, from this I got the gist of like, okay, I get what this is. I still don't even know if I'll necessarily, I probably will do one eventually. I just don't know which game or games it'll be for, because I do just enjoy it still, like the standard of like, I get my team of 6 dudes and we defeat everyone together, rather than like this more hardcore thing, which I respect, I guess, and it is cool. And I don't know. There's probably plenty. I say probably there is plenty of YouTube videos about Pokemon Nuzlocke. First of all, some of them explaining them, but also just full on like, here's my entire playthrough of a particular game with a particular set of rules. Which the rules of this one's kind of funny, honestly. It's, if anything, I would recommend watching just the video where he explains it. The rules for the specific Nuzlocke, because it's interesting. And yeah, I enjoyed this one as well. This shit was made 7 years ago. God damn, it's old. Anyways,
that is an old one. Yeah, Pokemon Nuzlocke is just a massive community online, and because of the freedom with the ROM hacking and
that's true.
Every rule set is unique or can be.
Yeah,
it just allows for
you just customize like however you want it to be.
Yeah,
and exactly. I mean, it's just an honor rule, really. Unless you're doing it on posting it on the YouTube, then I guess people can see if you're cheating or not. Which this man did not do, I don't think. So
yeah, it's an interesting kind of alternate play style for the Pokemon games, because when you're playing it as intended, I guess. There are, no stakes. Just catch them all and play as you want. Like, the gym leaders can be difficult, but if you're playing with like everything that the game gives you, it's never going to be that hard. But yeah, with just a certain change in the rule sets, it adds a lot.
Certain touch of difficulty pizzazz. I guess
it makes the game more intriguing for many people and a little more immersive,
including yourself.
I do enjoy
basically
playing
Fire Emblem rules, but it's like an Iron Man where you don't reset if they die.
Yeah.
Hell yeah! Have you ever done an Iron Man run for Fire Emblem, where like you don't reset if they die?
I guess no, I don't think I have. I've definitely lost characters, but
like
that's just because
old games you didn't really care.
Yeah.
Or just didn't know how to recruit them or something. Either just like
sometimes it's just if I miss out on a save and I have already finished the map, I'm just like, that's what happened with Panette.
Oh, really?
Died on the first map that I got her on, which sucks because I had plans to build her.
Damn.
Actually, no, I had her for like maybe 4 maps.
Oh, really?
She died on Ike's emblem map. And I didn't realize until the map was already over.
Oh, damn.
And I'm like, well,
oops.
I'm already like 2 hours past.
She died on her, like one of her best emblems to get skills from.
Yeah, it did suck.
From your husband, he killed her?
It's because, when she had the emblem on her. And then once you go on the chapter, then they automatically take it off. So she was underpowered, I guess.
You were expecting her to take 1 billion hits when she could only take 2 or 1, because that's normal for that game.
I think she just died on like the last turn.
Oh, really?
Where like
the last turn of that is tough
like kills him off.
Yeah, you just get so surrounded, and you really have to take Ike out and like in that one turn, which is tough because he'll be somewhat far away because that like big rock that he destroys is pretty big. I remember sort of struggling to. I forget what I did on Lunatic. If I did one turn that, or if I might have set myself up in such a way that I could do it the turn after somehow, even though I was like fucking surrounded by like so many goddamn people.
Yeah,
I think I almost certainly utilized Corrin to freeze him and a bunch of adjacent dudes. I think that's most definitely what I did, and then maybe danced Corrin to like, put ice or flame tiles to prevent more dudes from reaching me, something like that. Old reliable strategy there, or just freeze more people because Corrin is nuts in that game. I think at least on Lunatic they're helpful.
Corrin's great.
We already talked about all that Fire Emblem stuff. What is Fire Emblem?
I'm glad that we were able to talk about the game again.
No, I know. Yeah, I love that video game.
We couldn't have broken the streak.
Yeah. Well, we already broke it today. Why not do it another time?
Exactly.
The Fire Emblem Discourse. And I guess that's the end of this YouTube video. This marks the shortest Jupiter Podcatchers episode in the history book so far. That does mean that the show is dying and that we're being canceled and that we hate each other and we don't want to spend any time talking to each other or having to deal with our audience that we don't like and they don't like us, and everything is burning, the forests, the trees are dying and the animals are leaving. And whatever else that streamer girl. You ever see that clip where the streamer girl is like,
yeah.
The plants are dying, the animals are leaving.
But who cares? Because we have each other.
But we don't, because the YouTube channel is fucking over. No, I'm joking. We still have more plans. It's just that, the films weren't as stacked and like, I don't know, It's just that's just the way that the cards get dealt some of these months, man. The way we attack these pods and incorporate them into our lives through various methods. It's just going to be the video output. It's going to be sometimes 2 hours, sometimes 4 hours. You don't need to cry about it. I know that you wanted us in your life slightly longer, and I'm trying my best right now as we end this video to allow for that, to accommodate for you by extending this ending ever so slightly, just for the viewer. Because we joked, or I joked that, the audience disconnected, we don't have that, or it's dying or whatever. Obviously I'm just pretending. Yeah. Obviously, you have to form that parasocial relationship with us that will eventually lead to everyone buying our merch and Patreon or whatever, which will definitely happen. And
it's gonna come.
They'll buy mugs and they'll buy T-shirts with our faces on it saying that we love the person watching and listening or something. So yeah. Look forward to that parasocial, but it has to be determined by you. You gotta talk about us in front of other people that in real life. Have you heard about this channel called Jupiter? It's kind of the greatest thing ever. If you ever want to own a shirt with our faces on it, the only way that's possible is to spread the message, really, to become the sort of the apostles that the Jupiter will form here. If you want to be sort of the founding father or mother or whatever title you wish to go by in our community, if you want that sort of elder admin rights privileges, you got to be sort of the first one to pop on that scene and hit the plug with the folks in your neighboring area. you gotta reach out and be like, hey, this group of guys are fucking make the greatest shit ever, and they don't know how to end their YouTube videos still. Goodbye.
Smooth.